episode of the BJJ Fanatics podcast. And I have here with me today Priit Mihkelson. I have a hard name saying his last name. He's from Estonia. And Michael Zenga, my business partner on BJJ Fanatics. And guys, Priit has a very interesting story because he is a black belt from Estonia in Europe. He has a school over there with like 300 students. And he's also one of the main instructors at BJJ Globetrotters. And this is a very big new organization for BJJ travelers that they have 592 schools around the world that represent the BJJ Globetrotter. And they do camps all over the world. And so we're going to ask Priit a lot of questions here about how is Jiu-Jitsu in Europe, what to tell more about the BJJ Globetrotters as well, and how he started Jiu-Jitsu, and a lot of cool stuff. And one of the things that's very cool about Priit is that he's 41 years old. He's not like a Jiu-Jitsu world champion or anything like that, but he really lives the Jiu-Jitsu lifestyle. He travels all over the world teaching at BJJ Globetrotter, and it's going to be a very fun talking. So first of all, thanks so much, Priit, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
Yeah. And Priit, first of all, can you just explain a little more to us what's the BJJ Globetrotter?
It's kind of like a affiliation without affiliation. Everybody can join Globetrotter, but it started with a Christian Graugert when he did his Globetrottering around the world, and he did I think 6 months period and ended up actually in Estonia in the final chapter, and he's published a book about it, and now he built up organization of kind of like not affiliation. So if people are like in a deep Siberia somewhere or somewhere they don't have access to black belts, so Globetrotter offers those people access to coaching, access to people, access to graduation, access to competing under Globetrotter's name. So that's kind of how it started, and everybody can be like, if you're Alliance or Gracie Barra, everybody can be like a part of Globetrotter. The only affiliation fee is, I guess, there's like a list of there in their webpage, like no politics, no blah blah, and like affiliation fee is like you have to offer fellow Globetrotters who's traveling like 1 week of free training, and that's your like a Globetrotter fee. So it's really like a connection, and it's really like a group of people that like to work together. And let's say when we get together, there's no clubs, there's no nothing, there's no boundaries. Everybody's training with everybody, and so it really brings people together. So I think it's good to play that team versus team stuff, but it's also good to like just come together like human beings and train and share, and those camps and like offer those opportunities. So it's a really fun project.
Cool. So yeah, I was thinking a lot about that. Like yesterday when you explained more about this to me, I was thinking like two things that everybody who does jiu-jitsu really love it is the fact of the community, right? You build a community, and the fact that now everybody that I know that does jiu-jitsu, everywhere they travel, they have the gi in the backpack, and the gi is a kind of like a big thing to carry, right? But they always bring everywhere they go. So, and I always, especially here on my school, every time I have some student visiting, I always feel that they are kind of like concerned, right? Like, oh, is this school welcome for visitors, this and that? And my school is super welcome for visitors. But I think this thing that the Globetrotters does makes it very, very, very welcome for everybody who is traveling, right? So it's such a smart idea.
Yeah, I feel very welcome here. You don't have to be like a Globetrotters gym to be very welcomed, but just the idea of Globetrottering, and I know some schools are very closed in a way that they don't allow people to train with them, and they guide you certain classes. So I don't mind that actually, but I like the welcoming part. And you were right about that. That everywhere I go, I usually like, let's say 10 years ago, I taught acrobatics in school and kids, and when we went to Nizza in Europe, Nice. And then I brought my gi. So other people went, the sightseeing and watch buildings. Yeah. And I put my gi on and went to rolling Gracie Barra. So it's always like gi is, it's always easy to make friends also. It's just right away, there's something to talk about. And you don't know people, but if you roll after them, everybody's friend, everybody's inviting you to like eat something, like come go out. So it's a really nice icebreaker for people.
I got it.
Yeah, so it's really nice.
And so the affiliation fee for the Globetrotters organization is that you have to give 1 week for free for every Globetrotter travelers in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah, it's like
Cool.
that's the I think it's very normal in Estonia. We do it anyway. Kind of, it's we have a kind of big gym, but I don't think it's necessary when somebody comes and travels and pays the flights and everything, for me to ask from them also like, oh, it's 20 euros a class
I
or
got it.
something. They already paid so much money to travel to see Estonia, so it for me it benefits more than. I know it. They they gonna spend water and everything else, and there's like cost for everything, but for me it means more that they're talking good about my gym later. They're doing Instagram posts, they're doing Facebook posts. Some people leave reviews, very welcoming gym. So this is what I pay for. Like it's the 20 euros what I've gotten from the person. I don't need that. So I just want him to feel welcome. I want him to come back because also my people, like if they roll with them, we benefit from them. So it's nice to see new styles, new people coming in. So if I had a fee or whatever, maybe I just push them out a little bit. So
Yeah.
I really like that welcoming idea. Yeah, definitely. If person stays with me, like stays in a school like 3 weeks, a month, then it makes sense to pay money and you're training already there.
I
But
got it.
just visiting couple of classes, couple of days, I think it's very fair that you don't ask money from them because kind of you're giving back to the community.
I got it. And I was just talking with Michael another day, like how important it is, like to create a community, right? Like give this sense of community for everyone. And I think that's one of the most powerful tools that jiu-jitsu has, right? I mean, like most of the times, every jiu-jitsu school is the same, right? You go to jiu-jitsu school, there is one guy who is the doctor, there is one guy who is the lawyer, there is one guy who is the troublemaker that you gotta watch out for, and there is one guy who hurts everybody. You gotta look for him, watch out for him. There is the other guy who has zero talent. So I think that you always have this community on jiu-jitsu, and I think this is what stick the students, right? Because they become friends with this guy, friend with that guy. So I love this idea about the Globetrotter because they are doing that in scale, right? They are doing that
Yes.
in all of the world. And but what's the key for? I mean, like, how do they communicate on each other? Like, do they have like a Facebook group or something like
Yes,
that?
there's a open Facebook group. I think members of BJJ Globetrotters or something it is. BJJ Globetrottering. You can find it on Facebook really easy. And there's almost, I think, 15,000 members.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so and all the community communication goes through there. Christian Grauert, founder of that, he posts.
Where is he from?
He's from Denmark,
Denmark.
originally from Denmark, and now he lives in St. Barth, like
Got it.
Caribbean,
Got it.
in European islands. And so they communicate through that. It's a nice group. Then they have rules that they do their advertising for camps and stuff, and there's some notification. And the group is used very much for finding places to train. So if somebody goes to, let's say, Bangkok, they go like, guys, where I can find good gyms to train with, and right away in a second you have like 10 guys answering them, like, okay, you go this, you're welcome here, this is fee, this is good, this is bad. And this is very much used for that, and also advertising their camps and everything. But it's not allowed in that group to be like a very marketing for coaches, like, yeah, this seminar is coming here, I'm a black belt going here doing the seminar. So it's really nicely controlled group,
I got it.
that it's only for Globetrotters and only for information that's necessary. Otherwise, it just goes like very viral. Everybody's advertising their seminars and selling T-shirts. So Christian has done very very nice job of controlling that group, and it really works.
And does he have a school as well in Denmark?
In Denmark, I think he sold his school. He had a CSA dot DK, I think is the website. Very also big school, I think 700-800 people, I think. And now Christian Iversen, who does also camps, he has a family friendly BJJ camps or something. He does those in Europe, and like you can bring the whole family. Kids can do something, and he's also doing very like camps, but different kind of camps. But he's doing his own organization kind of. But he's also coaching Globetrotters, so he's running in CSA at the moment in Denmark.
I got it.
But there also in CSA was really big, like a community, because I think other clubs are a little bit smaller in Denmark, but
Got
they
it.
have managed to build up a really big gym there. So it's very nice.
Got it. No, I love the idea. Oh, Preet, and you were, I mean, like you were black belt. You were 41 years old, and you might travel more than a bunch of like jiu-jitsu champions out there because you're teaching most of the camps, right? So how it feels like you really live the jiu-jitsu lifestyle, right? You probably live the life that every jiu-jitsu practitioner would like to live, right? Like being a black belt, traveling all over, teaching, sharing the mats with different people, and this and that.
It wasn't
Like
easy.
this, like
Yes, it took me. I've done this 18 years, and now I think I've done Globetrotter actually those camps, and this next year is going to be a 50th Globetrotter camp. Not for me, for organization, but I've done those camps like 2 years now. 2019 will be my third year, so I joined quite late, and this Globetrotter has given me a platform. I do this, for promotion and stuff. I see how people like my stuff, and also the Globetrotters has a site. They film most classes in those seminars, and they put them up for free. So the classes in a seminar, those camps are usually 1 hour, so they film most of them, and they put them up free to Globetrotter in action site. So the BJJ Globetrotters, there's a menu, blah blah in action. So a lot of coaches there has profiles and a lot of free information. So through that, actually, people have contacted me from Trinidad Tobago that they're like, Preet, we like your stuff, very defensive, very nice, and like, oh, this kind of exposure I didn't expect. So this that's why I'm also getting more traveling at the moment, because I'm kind of booked at the moment. I think to mid-April next year.
oh my god, man!
Yeah,
Every
so
single weekend.
yes, so a lot of
Yeah,
little
that's
bit like
impressive.
my stuff, like a little bit my camps, but mostly I'm booked to like even I think the all April and May goes away.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is I'm like I didn't expect those rippling effects to happen. So this definitely Globetrotters have helped me to put my name there, because like you said, I'm not a world champion. I don't compete as much. I have some Scandinavian Open, some medals and stuff, but I'm not so famous, as world champions and stuff.
Yeah.
So
But sorry to interrupt
yes, no
you.
worries.
But today I asked you to share some techniques
Yes.
in the class, right? So guys, today Preet taught like 2 techniques on my class, and awesome teacher, and he makes it very fun. I saw in the students' eyes that everybody was enjoying, because the that you were sharing the techniques, how you were sharing, how you were showing, how you were putting some stories in the technique, like so it was a very cool style of teaching. So I can say, I think if you were a bad instructor, having your name on Globetrotter, you would not get this exposure. But because you have the opportunity to share your name, plus you are an amazing instructor, then you have a good product. You have a good. What do you think about that, Michael?
Well, yeah, I want to ask you. So, how is it on the kind of the other side of the world from here in America, and also very far from Brazil? Did you get into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being in Estonia? I mean, I know there's only what you told me, 1.4 million people in the whole country.
Yes, we have 1.4 and it's declining. So,
Yeah.
but right now in Estonia, like in my club, there's 4 black belts, and I think overall there's 2 more, and the one that lives in Finland. So we started as I did a lot of traditional martial arts. I started with karate, did aikido at the same time, and then we started like there's a crazy story. We did Bloody Thursdays every month when we did Wing Chun. So we just put the headgear on, and they just fought. And kind of every Thursday we call them bloody.
One parenthesis here. I went to Germany like 4 years ago or so, and I was really impressed with how big Wing Chun is over there.
Yes.
It's like huge.
This is the Bruce Lee martial art, correct?
I think, yeah, there's a crazy history.
it's a-
There's
it's a
like
kung
this
fu.
and that, who teaches what. So I started from Wing Chun, but other Wing Chun instructor was a Sambo guy. So he started showing us some like leg locks, some arm bars. We were like, oh, and I right away liked it. Some people go like jiu-jitsu, like I don't like it, kind of close. And I right away like, I like this. And that's how we started. Then we watched all the videos, we just, internet, what we can find. And definitely watched, VHS tapes of Royce Gracie, UFC one, and we're like, what the hell is that? And it was a small guy. And then, I know the one Estonian first black belt, Martin Aidma, was a big fan of Rumino Sato, Kenki Sudo, those Japanese grapplers. So we got the inspiration from that, And so we started basically because we were moving away from like traditional arts and wanted to fight. And then it all moved towards jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and, watching those fights. And because Wing Chun never fought and always had excuses, and the kitchen side, we call it like a back scenes, yeah, we call it kitchen side, that backstage stuff you don't see usually, yeah, was kind of like a pyramid scheme. So in one day we just left and we opened up the MMA club. And basically it was more jiu-jitsu, and then we built up, MMA and, some boxing, wrestling. It was only me at first, but now we have like 14 coaches over 18 years. So now it's getting bigger in Estonia. We have very big gym, like 1,000 square meters of facility. I don't know how much, feet it is.
One gym is
Man,
1,000 square meters.
yeah, 1,000 square meters. I think is like 10,000 square foot or so. It's huge.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
yeah.
like 10 times more. So
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
really big.
We just filmed with Chael Sonnen in a gym that big. It was enormous.
Yeah, it's actually more. It's like 11 times more. If I'm not wrong, square meters to square feet, I think it's 11, pretty much 11 times the difference. I know because 840 square foot, it's around 75 meters.
So
So
yeah, we
it's
moved
huge.
in
It's like-
moved in last year in August to there. So we didn't have our own gym for long, and we were like scattered around 3 places. But then we looked and kind of like everything clicked, and we worked for it. We negotiated, and now we have a very very big gym, like 470 square meters of mat.
Oh my god, man,
Yes,
that's huge.
yeah, and
Yeah, guys, if I'm not wrong, this is
Yeah.
like 5,500 square foot, around that.
That would be bigger than. Have you seen another gym in the U.S. with that much mat space?
I never been there, but I know like famous gyms, big gyms and stuff. They have bigger areas, but usually when people come in, travelers, they open our door. They usually just stare for a second, like
Maybe Henzo's basement or something, but
It's not that big.
yeah,
I don't
probably
think.
not, yeah, I don't think it's that big.
I don't think it's this size. But I one time I've been to one school in Finland that I forgot the name of the city. But
Helsinki or
it was not Helsinki.
Okay.
I don't know if it was Tampere. I forgot the name of the city. but
Tampere.
I don't. There is a chance it was Tampere,
Okay.
but I'm not 100%
Okay.
sure. And I know that when I got there, looks like a basketball field, all mats. I was surprised. I was like, "Man, that's the biggest place I've ever been in my life."
Finland is also growing very strong. They're doing well in jiu-jitsu scene and
Yeah.
building gyms and MMA, and they're doing good.
And they're really tough guys.
Yeah, they started. I think overall, we counted. They started like 5 years before us, but
Yeah.
because their economic stage and the money and everything else is way different, we're more like a poorer country. So they're doing really good and investing and putting people up in like different competitions, and they have lots of support system from union, like a jiu-jitsu union. So they send up people to worlds and stuff. So they're doing a really good job.
Yeah, most of the school. I remember when I went to Finland. Most of the schools over there, it's kind of like union thing. Like it's not like a private jiu-jitsu school. It's more like a club. It's more like the tuition is very, very, very low, and the instructors teach you voluntary, and they pretty much just pay to keep the doors open.
I think it's changing now, or
It's changing?
I think it changed now because how many years back you were there?
That was probably
10 years?
2013, like
Okay,
5
5 years.
years. Yeah.
But I think it's I think there's still those schools, but I think they do also more business now.
I think it was 2012. Sorry.
Yeah.
But,
So I think it's changing. It's changing. They're doing business, and because it's kind of hard to produce good guys when you're doing it for voluntary. You have a second job or
I
something.
agree. No, I agree.
Yeah. So
And,
I think it's getting better there.
No, I agree. I agree. And that's one thing I felt when I was there. Like, nobody had the example that you can do jiu-jitsu for a living and have a good life. So nobody would take jiu-jitsu serious and try to become the world champion and that. So it's good to hear that now it's kind of changing.
It's a little bit like we had in Estonia also in old Soviet times. Wrestling coaches, they taught classes for free because it was just they had to, because they wanted to teach wrestling, and they had a day job, and they taught kids for free a little bit or just for a small amount of money. And because it was kind of bad to ask a lot of money to make business out of it, people look bad about it. But now I think it's changing, and it has to, because you want results, you want professional coaches, and you can't do it from the from the knee. So we call it in Estonia, that you really have to commit to it. So having a second job, and it's just you can't produce results like this. So
What are the skill sets of the students over there? Are a lot of them wrestlers? Are they judo guys?
we have pure
They're strong.
pure office workers coming in, like everyday guys.
Okay.
We have a really strong Greco history.
Okay.
If you look to the even I think the famous one, George Hackenschmidt, and all those guys were Estonians, and even I've told that we had that some Russian Russians really separated. There was a Estonian style of doing Greco-Roman wrestling that we were really working man style, like a lot of pummeling, a lot of heavy work. So we have a really big wrestling history, like Olympic medaling and everything, even in a small country. But judo is. I think we had also some medals and bronze medals and stuff. But I think nowadays it's more not there. Maybe some 20-year-old guys doing something. But we get mostly like an average Joe, like a everyday person comes to the gym, and that's what we're really happy about. That that's why we can be bigger. That some people want to compete also, but mostly for everybody. That's.
But just joking here, I went to north of Europe a bunch of times, right, for same reasons and that. If you ask me what's the skill set that they have, I would say strength. They're strong.
Ah, yeah.
What a crazy strong guys. I remember one time I went to Finland and there was one student over there called Juha. That he was a purple belt, and I think in '99 or so he won the strongest man in the world. And it was on Alliance Affiliation, and everybody was telling Bernardo, if you go there, roll with him, you are black belt, he's purple belt, you're gonna do well. But never and never let him lock the Kimura. If you lock the Kimura, you're gonna feel the strongest Kimura you ever saw in your life. And then it was funny because when I got there, they told me like, we're not gonna tell you who he is. But if you see him, you're gonna know who he is. And then I went to the gym one day to work out. When I opened the door, there was a guy like huge. I was like, Juha. You're like, nice to meet you, Bernard. That's funny.
Because we actually, about the strength, we actually had a couple of days ago, or 1 week, we had one guy won some strongman competition. I think it was some lifting with a heavyweight, and it was a European champ or something. It wasn't a strongman, that when they throw stuff and do stuff. It was something with like powerlifting or something that kind of stuff that one Estonian actually won in heavyweight. And so it was kind of it's big for a small country to have those athletes. So the strength, and that's old Estonians I think were way stronger, but now nowadays everybody's kind of becoming more snowflake. So because not so much physical work, and everything else. So we have different opportunities in people. It's not a bad thing. But old Estonians, I think if you watch those old strongmen, with the kettlebells and stuff, you see that there's different beasts.
I got it.
So we've gotten a chance to train all week. I would say that you have a very different game, very different philosophy than a lot of people with jiu-jitsu. You're very defensive oriented, which is cool. I mean, so you're an older guy, and like I am, and you're not even as old as I am, but it's very, very tough to pass your guard. And I would say, just from competing at Master Worlds, a lot of times with master guys, they're not able to hold their guards as well, but you hold your guard very, very well. What's the philosophy and some of the thought process behind that?
I kind of I like defense because I'm old and stuff, so I like longer rolls. If the roll is 5 minutes, then usually those younger people, they can bully you with speed and everything, but I can last. And I like to roll more like 15 or 20 something minutes, and then usually they calm down later. And then it's more even because I can't match that athleticism. That's like just reality. And so by being more defensive and surviving even in side control and turtle and everything else, they spend way more energy to attacking me than I'm doing that. I can keep my guard, but usually people are very aggressive by like playing guard, like passing guards. And then when they get side control, they calm down. So it's easier to just be in like turtle and side control and even like back defense. They're more calmer. And I tire myself out if I just, grip fight with them, like, then backing up, they're stripping grips, they're being aggressive. Sometimes people don't come to play. Okay, let's go to a guard and let's play. So I'm more like a recreational grappler. I'm not very competitive. So it's like if it's 5 minutes, 100% right away, it's very hard for me because I'm not in that shape. So I like longer rolls. I like to play around. I like to put myself in danger. And actually, because I'm looking for helping white belts and blue belts not to quit jiu-jitsu. So main thing is everybody's complaining about suffering, survival skills. And it's very hard and it's, getting dominated and stuff. So I'm here for a little guy, so to speak. So if I can make like white belts and blue belts quit less jiu-jitsu and stay for jiu-jitsu, because we all know if you stay there, long enough, there's a lot of benefits, you're here for life. But you just have to survive those first couple of years. So by having a good defensive system, that turtle and everything, very safe. So it's easier to survive. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about. And also, I think defensive skills are, in a way, like a greater skill, because your attack will only go as much as defense is there. So if defense is better, you have to attack is has to be better than defense again. So defense is actually pushing everybody together, because if your side control is broken, then it's easy to do locks and everything else, and everybody thinks they're good. But if you would train with Eduardo Telles every day, you would consider back takes way differently, because it's very hard to take his back. So you would have to adapt a lot, do a lot of things to just like understand how it works. But if the back defense is broken and turtle is broken, then people are getting good in back takes and they don't know they're not good. That's dangerous, because the defense is not there. Maybe everybody has some defense, but would it be nice that everybody would have Eduardo Telles defense? Then you would have a very awesome gym, because everybody's back attacks will be the best, because they would have to attack the best turtle there is, and everybody's motivated to figure out the turtle, the still choke. So I'm for the defense, and if I can build up the defense, it actually makes attacking better and everything else. So that's kind of like I'm sacrificing myself for a greater good, and so that's the kind of the deeper philosophy, because I want that people have a good defense, because they can survive better and they can enjoy jiu-jitsu more, because if you know why you're suffering and why things are happening to you, because it's explained why submission and holds are happening, it's easier to lose when you know why you're losing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but if you don't know why you're losing, then it's like a suffering, a torture.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it's like it's very hard to say to white belt, like, oh, it's okay, enjoy this. You can't enjoy this because it's like torture.
And you don't even know what's going on.
You don't feel like you're getting better.
So, and that's why I'm teaching those, trenches, secure positions. And then, there's armbar escape and everything, and there's different layers of escapes. So I have to teach them to that they understand that, and they understand in which level they, getting defeated. And next time you come again and you play again, you try better, but you understand the process. So I'm for that. So because you see a lot in all the DVDs and all the YouTube videos, everybody's developing attacks.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a lot of people are crazy attacks. It's awesome. I'm not saying anything bad, but not so much people are developing defense. Because if you watch guard, we can have 100 people good guard.
Yeah.
Guard passing, many people. But let's see turtle. There's only, there's more guys, but let's name Eduardo Telles. And if you go let's say, name 20 more turtle guys, you go I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they don't play that defense. So why is that missing? It drives me nuts sometimes.
No, I agree 100%. Yeah, and coincidence or not, we had John Danaher here this weekend, and we were talking about fundamentals of jiu-jitsu and that. He was saying exactly this. In his opinion, the most important part of jiu-jitsu, especially for beginners, should be the defense. Because if they at least know how to defend themselves, jiu-jitsu is fun because you know what's going on, this and that. And that's true. And many times I see jiu-jitsu schools that in the first day, they put the guy to roll, and they teach him armbar, flying armbar, this and that. He's not ready to learn anything calm. Or they teach him the beating ball, or even triangle omoplata. He's not ready to do that yet. So it would be better teaching bridge from the mount, right? How to escape from side control and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and even just keeping really understanding, keeping your elbows here and fighting for elbows, And even if you do this like a turtleneck and elbows in, you're pretty much safe for a lot of things. You're still you lose, but you lose way, way less, because if you just do opposite, stretch everything and neck, you get just destroyed in a second. So teaching, good defensive stuff first, and definitely they need to know what the triangle is and, armbar, so they can expect that, they can get hurt if they don't know what the triangle is because they don't know how to tap. But definitely teaching, nice, safe structures with a good teaching methodology, making them safe. And I think, because we hear all the time that, that white belts quitting, there's a lot of articles about blue belts quitting. And there was actually a very, very funny meme that, every time blue belt quits, Hickson Gracie kills a kitten or something, that there's we can call it, it's not like epidemic, people quit, but people quit a lot of jiu-jitsu.
No, I agree. And I can share with you one experience. Here on my school, for example, as every school, right, you have a cancellation rates and then I was trying to study the people that were canceling, and most of the guys who were canceling were white belts before the 0 stripes, that they didn't even get the first stripe, so they probably did 5-10 class and they cancel. So makes a lot of sense with what you were saying, because many times probably and on my school I even split the class. They don't do sparrings, and they only learn the very basics. But it's still they probably start and they think, oh, this is not for me, and they quit. So I agree.
So we have also in our gym we don't let them spar 3 months. But that doesn't mean they don't roll. We do isolation rolling. Let's say they have armbar. Your job is to finish the armbar with the progressive resistance. Gets harder. That first it's easy armbar. Then you even white belts together. Like first day they can train and finish armbar. Finish armbar. But you don't let them fully spar, because there's so much they don't know. They can injure themselves and develop bad habits. But you do a lot of isolation sparring and whatever was taught in a class, and this way they get a good workout, they get a sense of tapping and winning and losing, and it's healthy, and they're still workout and everything. But yeah, you don't get them just right away spar. It's just they get destroyed, they understand nothing, they get injured maybe even. So it's a bad start for a wonderful art.
So this you do on this way for the beginners.
Yes.
Here on my school, for example, I don't even have the sparrings at all. Like it's just like in the end we do drills, we put techniques together. But that's a good idea. I might test that as well.
Yeah, look, drills. I mean, when we talk about drills, I'm talking about mostly. It's never like left right 20 reps. A drill in my context means
one technique after the other.
Yeah, the drill means like we do it resistance, like progressively. Okay. So you let me win, but always make it harder. So if you're really good, I can go 100%. But mostly, everybody needs to start with 20, then you win a couple of times, higher resistance, then, win again. So then you develop timing and stuff. Yeah. Otherwise, just a dead repetition, and then fighting is different, Oh, yeah. So we do that in the beginners a lot. And then after the beginning course, they go to base course. It's usually like a 8 months to a 10 cycle. And then they start to roll it a bit and everything else, and it's fun. But then already we're weeded out bad guys already, who came there to hurt people. They will change or they leave because they want to spar, but we don't let them. Okay. So they have to be calmer, they have to be nicer, they have to understand, listen direction, listen coaches, and then we let them, with other people, and so it's a process.
If I were to share a thought downstairs, you taught a class and you taught 3 techniques in about course of 15 minutes. So I was partnered with a blue belt that when I spar with, I'm usually able to do what I want. We're all black belts here. And he did this simple thing where he protected the space. He let me start in the clock choke after you gave him the instruction. I couldn't do anything with him. I couldn't choke him. I couldn't take his back. I couldn't, it was just in 15 minutes of you showing him a couple concepts of protecting this space and the method in which you do it. And the whole game changed. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen the next time I roll with them, but it's certainly going to be harder.
Yeah, it still is. You get people, and so my key is what I'm teaching. Actually, what I think jiu-jitsu is in a way, it's attacking during transitions. Everybody's vulnerable during transitions. So if you get a static position, it's you can be safe and against black belts also. But if you start to move and stuff, then you make mistakes. It's like I always reference the Cobrinha and Rafa Mendes match. When Pan Ams, Cobrinha was spinning, reaching seconds for a straight arm to get the guard back, and Rafa took that arm, just armbar. Yeah. It was very small timing. So, but everybody's vulnerable in that time. But if you're very safe, if Cobrinha gets his guard, it's very hard to pass. But those transitional moments when the people have to defend and move, they can't be static. Then what you have to attack. So that position, what I do is very safe, and then we start to move. And I want to teach a little bit like first day information in a way that people on a first day start to understand that they have to attack during transitions. You have to get clock choke during the turtling action. Yeah. If they go to turtle, then you get a clock choke. If you get, it's too late. So they start to do that in a day one, very sloppy anyway, but it takes 5-10 years. And then during the black belt, that's what you only know, attacking transitions. But if your position is broken, you're not motivated to attack during transitions because you can attack the broken position. So by having these strong positions, I force people to attack before the turtle or if they leave from the turtle. So, and this works in a white belt level and a black belt level. People are vulnerable, everybody, during transitions. So that's the great skill. That's why I try to do what I do.
Got it. So guys, if you're listening to this podcast and or watching on YouTube or wherever, and you might be asking yourself how can I learn from him? So we shot an entire instruction with him all about guard and turtle, where he shares all these concepts, and it's gonna be
2 actually. So there's one that talks about his guard posture. A second one talks about his turtle and panda posture. I
I
don't even
think
want to try to explain it here,
yeah.
but it's they're very different concepts, but they're really cool. Really, like if you're having trouble with getting smashed, I mean, this is going to change the game.
Yeah,
like, day one.
especially if you are like blue belt or you're on white belt or this and that. As he was saying, that this is gonna be very helpful. And of course, for all the higher belts as well. And it's gonna be on bjjfanatics.com. So make sure to check it out. It's coming out very soon. And guys, it's I mean like. When I'm doing jiu-jitsu, for example, I always have this mindset that what makes jiu-jitsu very, very fun is that you can learn from everybody. Like you can learn from everyone. So listen this all these things here from Priit is making me think about that. You know, I had never thought so deep about that. Like how the beginners needs defense more than anybody else. And the coincidence or not, like 1 day ago, 2 days ago, John Danner was talking about it. So look how amazing jiu-jitsu is. Like, have been doing jiu-jitsu for like since 2001, so 18 years old, and I had never really thought deeply about that, about how like defense is very important for the beginners, for those guys who just started jiu-jitsu. I knew that it's very important to have for those guys that are just starting jiu-jitsu to do the basics, to not go there and spar and go crazy against each other. But was an amazing concept. Like,
Thank you very much.
What I'm just thinking of, if you look at our own store, how many videos do you think we have on guard, back takes, passing? And how many videos do we have on defense? I mean, I'm only thinking. I mean, Tom has one, you have one, Dean has one.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, and then now we're gonna have another one. But so everybody is so focused on
attacking.
But it might not even be attacking full speed if they're so worried that if they get swept, they're not going to be able to get it back.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I'm very defense oriented, and I like when I can contribute, and there's a niche I can fill. So I still get choked. Today I got choked, but now I'm gonna go on because Lucas, I was feeling very nice timing. Very nice timing, strong guy. I was like, okay, now I have to fix my timing again, and it's still the fun process, losing and winning. But the fun part is I know why I lost. I know what was there, what wasn't, and it was very fun roll with him. And his defense, I still gonna struggle with the defense, go deeper, make it better. So it's I love the defense part. Just
I think that's the point. I mean, if someone, first of all, if you listen to your concept, it's going to be very, very, very tough to beat you in a static position. A lot of people, they don't even know how the proper way to protect there. Now, very good jiu-jitsu practitioners, I mean, we have a 5-time world champion here, they're going to be able to trick you. I mean, that's going to happen, and they're going to get you into deep water, and that's just all part of the game. There's no easy solution to that. But at the same time, it might be harder to improve someone's guard than it's harder to improve, it might be easier to improve their defense because a lot of people's defense really sucks. I'm probably one of those people. I mean, that's what I'm thinking right now. I mean, I know Bernardo gets the side control. It's just like I feel like I've just felt off a building. Like okay, well, let's think about next roll because I'm not getting this back. I'd really like to start to address my defense a lot better.
Yeah, it's I'm like in a class. I think I mentioned a little bit. I compare a lot of jiu-jitsu to boxing. So just boxing is also, you have to cover this and then you jab and cross, you move around, bob and weave. You still higher boxers, high level boxers going to trick you to react more, to reach, and then they can, hit your head. But that's what you have to train for the rest of your life, to keep your arms here under all the, circumstances, all the pressure. Do not overreact. And also in boxing, you're vulnerable in transition. If you stretch, punch somebody, your counterattack is possible. So then you have to when to punch, when to do this, when to have defense. So I think I always teach jiu-jitsu using boxing examples. People get very fast why you have to have a defensive structure. In jiu-jitsu, it's like if you fail a sweep, like you try another sweep. But if you do it in boxing, if you fail a punch, you won't be like punching again and trading punches because you get knocked out by this. If you fail, you pull everything back. So that's why I have those positions like. And as a higher guys, you don't have to use those positions because you know so much boxing. Let's say, in that term, you know how to punch and bob and weave and slip. But if a beginner fails, pulls everything back, tries again, pulls everything back, tries again. So that's how you learn boxing. And I think defensive structures in that way also exist in jiu-jitsu. And I'm after those, and still every system is under construction all the time. So I'm happy I found, the turtle, the pandas, then there's some hawking stuff and the running mans, and So I'm still adding and still testing, but it's the results and the feedback I've gotten from people already. It's pretty good. So still, I want to make it better, and still we have some issues, but it's a work in progress, and the results are good already.
No, that's very cool. So, Pri, just to finish here, so can you share some experience that you have on some camps with us? I bet you have some very cool stories, right? Because on those camps, probably like have met a lot of different type of people and that, and they're always in a good mood, right? Because they're traveling, they're excited. Is there any fun story that you remember?
It's a very hard question because very good joke to be Estonians don't have fun, but it's a there has to be a backstory kind of. But one of the coolest things that happened in the Globetrotter camps, and this year actually in Heidelberg was
Where is Heidelberg?
Heidelberg in Germany.
Germany.
People got married in a camp.
They got married in the
Yes.
camp? In the camp?
Yes.
But they didn't plan that, or they?
Yes, they people knew it was they had to say yes, but it was it was a ceremony. Christian Garwood was the priest. It
Oh.
was everything sat down. It was planned. It was a black belt marrying a blue belt, and so that
Did they wear geese and that kind of
yes. And it's all in photos and stuff. So for me, it was like campers, and this was a first Globetrotter official wedding. For me, it was like, oh, this is the craziest thing ever. So as a community that they came together, and we have now wedding, first thing. So this was for me like a very, very, very big thing that the community can bring people together like this, and we have a first
Yeah.
marriage.
But one of the most amazing things for me about jiu-jitsu is that I talk a lot about that with Michael. Like, for example, you see a guy who plays tennis. He doesn't have like a picture holding a racket on Facebook and that, right? And in jiu-jitsu, you see a guy who does jiu-jitsu, and you see his Facebook profile picture. For example, it's him with gi, him with the naga belt, with the medal. So people really, really get into it, and they become like really, really fanatic about
He
jiu-jitsu,
could
right?
be an accountant, 43 years
Yeah,
old at some
and,
big company, and his profile picture is him with a naga belt. going like this.
Exactly, So exactly, maybe the guy has another job. Sometimes they're very high on their career, but the picture on Facebook is damn with gi and that.
We
So
always
that's
think about that, like at work. Like, hey, did you know about Jerry in accounting? He's some kind of a fighter or something like that. Like, look at this. Look what's on the phone here. Like, really? Look
and
at
then it's amazing to see like for example, this Globetrotter, right? They do all these camps. And it's for hobbyists, right? It's not like for the professional athletes, right? Then you see the Fight to Win here in US. They do Fight to Win all over the US. And they have like one or two matches that are professional athletes, right? When they did here in Boston, for example, it was like Yuri Simões against Travis Stevens. But all the other competitors are just hobbyists, right? Michael is one of them, right? Michael does just for hobby, and he always competes in the Fight to Win and that. So I think here, just in this room, I have two examples here about like very, very like because you actually have your school and that, so you're kind of professional. But Michael is the most fanatic guy about jiu-jitsu I've ever seen in my life, and he does that for a hobby, right? Now we have the BJJ Fanatics, so we can call this like that's his little professional about jiu-jitsu as well. But it's amazing to see that, how people get into it,
And also the crazy part is why I'm here, because Mike contacted me in a fall. I met him like 4 years ago, I think, in the East Coast when I did a grilled chicken stuff, and jiu-jitsu life is
grilled
kind of
chicken is a position.
Yes.
Yes, it's not. We didn't eat grilled chicken together.
Yes. It's like open guard stuff. We call it. It's in American languages. You usually have to tell it rotisserie chicken. But yeah, just it's me being here, and you talk about jiu-jitsu life. It's crazy because we never knew what leads to what. Because I met him, and now I'm here and doing this and traveling. So yeah, jiu-jitsu has given me so much. So it's fun to give back. So it's
I'm in a position where I can really pick who I want to instruct in BJJ Fanatics, and I don't want just the world champions. I want people that are just great instructors that have different concepts. And obviously Bernardo and I talked it through, and he thought it was a great idea, and the content came out even better than we hoped. So it was awesome.
Yeah. So guys, this is your second episode of the BJJ Fanatics podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. And it was very nice to have you here, Priit. It was a lot of good
Thanks so much.
stories.
Super. Thank you very much.
And I hope to have you again for a new episode. And guys, as I just said in the first episode, that's exactly the goal of the BJJ Fanatics podcast, is share with you guys all these stories. Because when we do all these instructional videos, the nicest part is to listen everyone's stories. So now we have the podcast where you can talk with the star, with the instructor, and just listen. And that's amazing. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. And guys, make sure to check it out, bjjfanatics.com. And all these instructional videos that we are shooting, we are putting there and sharing with all of the world. And
Join
that's
our
the goal.
Facebook group. Get on our email list so you get notified of any
Yes.
new videos that are coming out. Talk with us, ask us questions, interact. We love it.
Yeah. Os.